And as hikers, we all know you don't make your 20 miles a day unless you get up early and start when you say you're starting. So, since I'll have you in the room, I'll swear you to secrecy. And by the way, the back row, can you hear okay? Good. If you can't, raise your hand, holler at me. We spent about 15 minutes on the mic. Sean, who's not here right now, we spent 10 minutes trying to get the wireless thing. Didn't work, so I'm attached to a cord. I apologize in advance if I do one of two things. If I step in front of the screen, or if I trip and fall on the cord. Bad form, bad form. So the secret is, on my birth certificate, it says Bernard. Don't tell me. My parents always called me Barney, but the thousands of people in the trail world, I'm simply Scout. Yeah. You're here tonight, you're all my trail family. So hello, trail family. Hello. That was pretty good. Scout 1.0 is a camp director, which you may see some vestiges of night, which means, 2 or 3 of you could make that amount of noise. Let's try one more time. Hello, trail family. Hello. All right, now we're gonna have some fun. First of all, thank you. Journeys North came out 3 years ago. It's a 40-year dream to write that kind of moving book, where hopefully I'd make you laugh and cry every other page. And it came out first summer of COVID, right? I gave 15 book talks. I appeared at the Harvard Bookstore in Boston. I appeared in Seattle, Los Angeles, San Diego. All me sitting in my little room, bookshelf there, staring at a screen. How many, we've all been there? I didn't have a cat that came in front of me though. Yeah. And so to be here tonight with all of you, and when maybe I say something moving, I can see a reaction. You're sitting here looking at a screen thinking, I know what I just read was moving, and I have to take it on faith. I know what I just said was really funny, and I have to take it faith. So it's so good to have you here. Yes, it is. The summer of our 30th wedding anniversary, 2007, we hiked from Mexico to Canada with PCT. I followed my wife. Frodo, where's Frodo?
Right here.
My wife.
I'm standing up because I've been told that the few people that are outside have to sit down, so we have 2 more seats.
All right. I followed my wife for 2,650 miles. Anyone else in the room follow a spouse or partner for 2,650 miles? Wow, I love it, this type of crowd. I see 3 hands up there. Yale, and to the back. I love it, I love it. Yeah. When I wasn't going to be attached, I was going to walk over next to her and put my arm around her, which I like to do anyway, and tell you that this is what 46 years married looks like. Yeah. Oh, yeah! Yes, we do. I'm a real lucky guy. Yeah. So the summer, sorry.
He's out of practice.
I am. Okay.
He told me it was okay for me.
And actually, I didn't even hook up the sand in a backpack. I get so enthralled with seeing people. Backpack is the clicker, so I can sit here and click at the same time. I'll maybe describe the next slide. The next slide is when we started the monument. It's in the main pocket. Yeah. This is the behind the scenes Scout and Frodo talk. Deep down in there. It's her purse. Yeah, what else? What else?
Just carry on.
Okay, I'll carry on. You'll see us at the monument. So when we started, April 30th, 2007. And look, you will never see our clothes that clean again. And if you look at our eyes, when I look there, we look so innocent. 2,650 miles in front of us, yeah. It's loose in the bottom. That's okay, it's all good.
As is everything else.
Yeah.
No, it's not, it's in a bag.
The next slide, oh, it's in a baggie. You're right. The next slide is us at the end. Imagine 5 months later how we look. I started out clean shaven. I did not shave once the entire time. Actually, guys who have beards, I did shave right around here because I didn't want to have complaint. Yeah, I see some of the women nodding their heads. Didn't want to have her complain. And the picture, you'll see the 2 of us at the end looking very different. She still looks gorgeous. I look like I've hiked.
Where does this go?
That goes in the one other slot right next to the, there you go. Great. And then the screen will probably say accept. And if it doesn't, just hand it, click at me. Wow, they're so good. Frodo. No one should be allowed a trail that clean. Yeah. Look at them. They have no idea what's in front of them. They do. Right. Yeah. This is us 5 months later. There's me. That's the beard, and she's right below me. Two other people I want to point out. Green jacket, and then the redhead beard, Blazer and Dalton. Journeys North is not like most of the trail books. Most trail books are first-person narratives. I hiked, here's my story. A lot of very good ones. Wild, of course. Walk in the Woods. We have author of another very good one, Gail Story, and I'll give her a shout out later. A local author wrote, I Promise Not to Suffer. I didn't want to write that. We went out, and Frodo says it's better than I do. I'm going for the adventure. I'm going for the challenge. I'm going to be in nature. But what we found out, what really meant something out there was the people. And so I wanted to write a book where I could possibly capture that. So Journeys North is about 6 of us. Myself, Frodo, 2 younger pairs, people we hope might be couples, maybe for a while did. This is 2 of them, Blazer and Dalton. And we'll talk more about that later. I'm not sure if you're ready for the next photo. Is anyone squeamish? Did anyone eat some greasy food for dinner? Yeah. You have to really, really want to do a thru hike. Otherwise, it's just too much pain, right? And it's important to fan the flames of that. Find ways to keep the incentive. People, I'm looking forward to meeting someone up the trail. Someone's baking cookies for me, I'll pick it up. All these things that you can pick up the trail. And a year before, I was thinking, we'll get to the halfway point, and we should do something. We should do something. I know, when you cross the equator, they have a Neptune ceremony. We should shave our heads. And I won't tell Frodo that's what we're going to do. I would tell people along the way. I'd be climbing a 2,000-foot slope, and I'd think, oh yeah, I have a friend hiking in, because it's 10 miles off the trailhead, bringing in portable shading equipment, and I wasn't sure if she would do it or not. And that was part of the fun. Friends and fellow hikers would tell me afterwards that when I would tell them this, they go, Scout, is this a good idea? So did she do it or not? How many of you think she did? Yes. How many think she did? Yeah. They told me I looked like either Gandalf or Gollum. Right? This was the gift that kept on giving. You walk on the trail, you forget that you shaved your head. You walk along. I always followed her, as I said, and I'd see this train wreck happen. She's walking along the trail, and she reaches up to scratch her head. And the moment she realizes once again she shaved her head, and she'd turn around and she'd say, is she not in the room? She'd say, oh my God, I shaved my head and it's your fault. And then my hair grew back in faster than her. So she had hair envy, all right? Yeah, it was too much fun. Too much fun. So what is this beast, the Pacific Crest Trail? Let's take a look at it for a moment. It's lying on a map. Give me a break. Starts all of California. How many here have hiked all of California? Look at the numbers. I love it. California, a good friend Rolling Thunder wrote, is a big ass state. You've hiked for 3 months and you're still in California, right? Yeah. And in Northern California, let's get this baby going. Oh no, pretend you didn't see that. See right there? For 2.5 months you've been hiking north, and for a day you hike south. It is just wrong, just wrong. So there's a PCT, yeah. I have a bunch of maps over here, the fancy ones that are longer than I am. Anyone who buys 2 books, you get the maps, nice decal, and Backpackers Pantry has a meal for you, either vegetarian or meat, the pretty ones. But I'm not talking about books now, we're talking about the story. How did I start? Scout, how did you become this ace hiker, outdoor person? I must have had parents who are outdoors people, right? They took me out all the time. I'm lucky, my parents are both in their 90s, and they're both still living. I am. And see, if I average out, how many times they have camped out 5 times their entire life. And each time sworn, it's our last. But what they did is they took me to Boy Scout meetings. And at age 13, I went on a 50-miler with Mr. Massey in Sierra Nevada. Mr. Quinn and Mr. Metcalf, it rained every day. I was scrawny, I was the smallest kid, didn't even weigh 80 pounds, I was carrying a 40-pound pack. But out there, I fell in love with backpacking. I really did. And for these 3 men, ex-World War II veterans, I learned 2 things. They didn't realize till later in life how important they were. I learned to be at home in the outdoors. And that's not a common thing necessarily. And I learned to like myself. So, recognize this guy? That's me. Age 13, that's all cotton. There's not a shred of anything other than cotton. There's no belly band. Billy Quinn had an early Kelty with, there's no padding, but he had a belly strap. He said, what is that thing? What is that thing? And I wondered if someone had come along and whispered into my 13-year-old ear, someday you're gonna hike from Mexico to Canada. What would I have thought? Would I run away screaming? I would say, wow, maybe so, yeah. So I was lucky I learned like backpacking at 13, because 10 years later, I met Frodo. I was the camp director, she was the counselor, we're not going there right now. And I was lucky because, as she would say, that, oh, she's not paying attention, it's good. If I hadn't been a backpacker, she wouldn't have married me.
That's true.
There we go, she is listening. It's all good. What did we ask as our big wedding gift? We asked our immediate families, will you go on a 10-day backpack with us in the Sierra Nevada? Her parents, 3 sibs, one of my sibs went. We did 10 days, no resupply, 77 miles, 7 miles a day. And you want to see why we covered that sort of distance? I can't believe I carried that thing on my back. It started at 60 pounds. I weigh about 140 there. And gosh, we look so young.
We were so young.
We were so young, yeah, yeah. So me, I'm a triple crowner. Yeah. Who else in this room is a triple crowner, please? 1, 2, grim. 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. Triple crowner is someone who's hiked 3 major north-south trails in this country: Pacific Crest, Appalachian, and the Continental Divide. There are actually, I've researched this, there are actually more people have flown in outer space than there are triple crowners. That's still true, yeah. Yeah. I mentioned that tonight, not just to say I am, but so I've hiked all the state. I came in the northern boundary, and about 200 feet in, there's a tin can, and what did the tin can have in this? This is 2017. Little pipe and some stuff, green stuff in baggie, right? And Trail Town early on, I came and said, boy, it's so nice. The sign says friendly on the big sign in the motel. And it had numbers 420 above it. You know, I didn't get that at the moment. 420 friendly, it says friendly hotel. But probably the roughest spot I had the entire CDT was in northern Colorado. I was hiking by myself, almost entirely at the time. Hiking in the Divide, it's majestic and it's beautiful and it's rough. Northern couple 100 miles, often the trail signs were a rock cairn that now was half the size, and the stick that used to be up is now on the ground. All right, and I see some people smiling. And the next one is well out of sight. Yeah, I was discouraged. What's the closest place to Boulder here that the CDT crosses a road? Someone say it? Bertha Pass, 67 miles from here. I covered 10 miles that day, climbed up 2,000, come down 2,000. I have a 3,000-foot climb right up ahead of me coming out of the pass. I have 15 more miles I know I need to cover that day. And Frodo is there. There's a little road trek. Where is the road trek? Right there. Benny the road trek. It had to have a trail name too, right? She borrowed it. We borrowed it, this expensive vehicle from the hiker. And when we said, you know, please, can we rent it from you? And this is the hiking world. And she said, Tammy said, I don't want to hear that word again. We put 14,000 miles of Benny, Frodo did. Because the trailheads are, the towns are a long ways away. Hitching's terrible. She helped out so many people that summer. When I'm coming in, I see Benny. She's got a fresh lunch for me. And as I said, I was once down and discouraged as I was any other point on the CDT. And she sensed that. You know, I told her something. It's really rough out there. And she looks me in the eye and she says, I know you can do it. Yeah. Yeah.
And now I'm gonna be really snarky and say, I've been standing over here for 4 minutes trying to show you what time it is.
Well, what time is it?
It's been 16 minutes now.
Okay, great, 16 minutes. Moving right along. Yeah, this is gift giving season. And that was one of the most important gifts she gives me. And we talked, we're thinking about, I'm hoping tonight you'll buy some of those stocking stuffers, 1995, why not? But a gift, maybe the next year, there's someone in your life, particularly someone maybe younger, that you can look into the eye and say, I believe in you. I know you can do it. It's a real gift you can give to someone else. And Frodo gave that to me. Yeah. Okay, next one is, what do all these hikers have in common? That's the start of Pacific Crest Trail. You see the wall off to one side. Actually, these days it's twice as high, but we're not going there. What do all those hikers have in common? I think the year is 20. What?
Smiles.
Smiles, that's true. But they all slept at our house the night before. Yeah. That year we hosted, I think, 1,200 hikers over 2 months, 40 to 45 a night. We fed them. I did 7 people slicing, dicing, and cutting. Someone sauteing, making drop biscuits. They go, Scout, I made this. No one to do that. And every morning, a little cul-de-sac, we'd send out another batch. We'd have volunteers, 1 or 2 of our cars, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 volunteers. 10 of 6, it was like running a Marine Beach invasion. All the hikers out in front, quiet, because we have neighbors out in front with their packs. And this car, you 4, this car. 10 minutes later, the last lights disappeared. We had 7,000 people over 16 years at our house. Nothing was ever taken. Nothing was ever taken. Yeah, that's what we do. We don't lock our doors during the time. We live in San Diego. Yeah, yeah. Who we got next? Oh, you're not supposed to see that one yet, David. So, Journeys North. As I said, it's an ensemble. Someone I think said that with these 6 people, it's Wild meets the Breakfast Club, which I like. Blazer, Dalton, Nadine, and Tony. Blazer hadn't dated in 4 years. We hope maybe she and Dalton might, I don't know. And Blazer, well, there's often a question on the trail we ask each other. Not usually, well, how long have you been thinking about doing this? Months, years, some people decades, yeah. And when she was sitting in a group of hikers and that question would get tossed on her, how long do you think about doing this? She'd say, 3 weeks before I started the trail, I got drunk and I announced to my brother and friends, I'm shaving my head and I'm hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. And that's what we would all do, and the conversation would go on. About 6 months after she finished the trail, we were close to the trail, I met her in Washington, D.C. in a hotel lobby, and she sits down next to me, tears in her eyes, and tells me the reason she really started. Yeah. And I'm still amazed she's trusted me with the story. And she said, why? She said, Barney, Scout, it's my hope that some other woman, young woman, will read Journeys North and they will not feel so terribly alone as I did. And so ashamed. I can do something a little cruel, not tell you why. that's in Journeys North. But if Blazer could be that brave, it meant that I had to be that brave and sharing my story too. Yeah. And Frodo, who sort of didn't get a choice whether our stories would be shared, has things happen. So she goes into her dental hygienist's office. Woman's just finished reading Journeys North, and she goes, I know an awful lot about you. Yeah. So, as an adult, we rarely get read to. When's the last time that you've been read to by another adult? Occasionally, I see someone smile, a couple smiling at each other. You guys read to each other?
He does all the driving.
Oh, you're driving, that's good. Frodo and I occasionally a book we really want to share. We'll read it in bed. I do see you now, thank you very much. And we'll maybe trade off chapters. And there's something in it about, as well as when you start, another adult's reading to me, okay. And then there's often a magical moment where you disappear into the story. So I'm going to start. And Sam, I left the copy in the Journeys North in my backpack. It's in the baggie. Yeah. I'm out of practice. What can I say? Should be here. I'm going to read you the introduction. And the introduction starts at the end. We've been out there for almost 5 months. We're within spitting distance of Canada. We've had a low snow year. Thank you very much. We've had a low snow year. Low enough that I heard some people who had hiked the years before. I overheard them saying, it's a snow year. We're 1,100 miles up trail. And I heard them saying, snow's so low this year. These guys have had it easy. This ought to be an asterisk year. Piss me off. At the end of our hike, we ran into once a generation early storms. Yeah. You're always safe, finish by October 2nd. You're supposed to. September 29th, it started snowing, it didn't let up. 5 storms, back to back to back to back. 90 people were still on the trail. I counted them, I knew them.
90 out of maybe 300 who started.
Yeah, out of 300. In our year, only 300 started. Those are the good old days. These days, about 4,000 start. 90 people are still on the trail, and just a smattering actually were to make it in Canada. So the introduction, with that. Frodo's birthday, October 2nd, 2007. It's her birthday. Blazer couldn't feel her toes. In the pre-dawn gloom, the 25-year-old stomped the path over a foot of fresh snow. But the effort barely blunted the cold. This was the second blizzard in 3 days as the Gulf of Alaska hurled once-in-a-generation storms at Washington's Cascade Range. After 5 months of hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, Blazer was wearing her 5th pair of running shoes, and the studded soles were ground flat, much like her muscles, sinews, and joints. She'd come over 2,600 miles, only 40 left to reach Canada. She'd sworn days before, I will crawl if I have to. Right behind her, Frodo and I brushed fat snowflakes off our bent shoulders and packs. A dim light penetrated the pine and spruce thicket. Happy birthday, Frodo, Blazer piped up. The two of us jerked as if we'd been poked. In 30 years that we've been married, I'd never forgotten her birthday. But this time, focused on the cold, on not getting lost and surviving we both had. Blazer asked, what do you want for your birthday? Frodo, her breath visible, didn't hesitate. I want to finish the day alive. 2 more storms swept in over the next 3 days, smothering the Pacific Crest Trail in thigh-high drifts. On Thursday night, Seattle, King 5 TV News reported 3 Pacific Crest Trail hikers are missing. Chatter lit up the internet within minutes. Goodness, it's so cold now. May the Lord protect them. Past midnight, one of 60 soon-to-be rescuers wrote, I'm headed out to Stevens Pass to work the search. But they weren't looking for us. They were looking for Nadine. And that was the start. I'm 72 years old. Our hike was 16 years ago. We were out there for 155 days. I could right now tell you a story for each and every day. Multiple stories. Frodo could do the same. We imprint differently out there. Our mental pores are open in a entirely different way. Nothing is routine. Every day some small miracle happens. Person, animal, place, weather. It's an amazing thing. So the day, I'm gonna read about next, day 28. We are at Agua Dulce, hiker heaven. I see my head's nods. Hiker heaven. Donna Softly is the trail angel's trail angel. She has a 2-acre compound, 450 miles up the trail. She did everyone's laundry. She knew everyone's name there. Her garage, the resupply boxes were on shelves, alphabetical order. They had not one hiker box, 13 hiker boxes, all arranged, all intimately arranged, racks. It was like a department store, racks of town clothes. You can go and take a shower and get your stuff washed and wear town clothes. Yeah, stunning place. So here Blazer has come to hiker heaven. Blazer's there, and we bunched up. We had about 300 people started to hike the trail that year. We bunched up, we had 50 there. One night, crazy. Tony, Nadine, Blazer, Dalton, myself. So here goes. The wood of the guitar felt good in my hands, but I was unusually nervous. Each summer for 3 years, I stood up on the All Nations Camp Lodge porch and faced down 100 yawning campers hungry for breakfast. The last thing on their minds was singing with sleep-scratchy throats. Yet in moments, I'd have them serenading the day in a loud, joyous chorus. At night, I'd walk into a still rowdy cabin of early teens. I'd sit on an empty bunk and start playing. So few of these kids ever got tucked into bed at home. Fewer still had parents sing to them. Whether it be blowing in the wind or Puff the Magic Dragon, I can still feel the wonder of that moment when squirming and giggling died down. In the silence of rhythmic breathing began. 2 things I loved most. Voices rising with my own in melody, and singing others quietly to sleep with a guitar. So how could I sit there now with a guitar and feel nervous? In the months since I last played at home, I'd grown 1/2-inch long salt and pepper beard. The backs of both my hands bore trail scratches that resembled spider webs. Yet my right hand still had a set of carefully maintained 1/8-inch long nails, perfect for strumming. On my thigh, I felt the full weight of the guitar pressing against a nasty cut, a souvenir when I tripped on a tree root at the Rifle. But I wasn't thinking of the pain from the 2-inch gash in my leg, or thinking of the lack of sleep over the past nights as I started in on leaving on a jet plane. I was thinking, if I sing, will anyone notice? Will anyone join in? Everything I play is so mired in the late 60s and early 70s. They're all so much younger. What might they know? Then I saw Bull look up from his gear. Bull is built like a college lineman. Bull had 2 ball-bearing studs that thrust out from his lower lip. He's a caricature of the person you don't want to meet in a dark alley. But scratch that hard exterior, and underneath is a gentle soul. 20-something Bull was newly married to City Girl, as slender as a rail opposite. Whereas Bull had thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail, City Girl's first night sleeping outdoors was their first night on the PCT. Their unlikely adventure had started less than a year ago. City Girl found out she was pregnant. The 2 laid out this full life of extensive plans centered around their new baby. Then City Girl miscarried, left a gaping empty space. They filled it with Bull's dream through hiking the PCT. Now 450 miles into the PCT hike, I saw Bull get up from his cot, come over, and sit on a hay bale. I watched as he moved his mouth along with me in song. Out there was next. Near my age, he came over and sat beside Frodo in a hay bale, covered by a horse blanket. Then came Cloud Spotter and Mr. Smiles. If PCT hikers that year had a BWOC, a big woman on campus, it was Cloud Spotter. She was 23, outgoing to a fall, had thru-hiked the John Muir Trail the previous summer, and she was always organizing something. Mr. Smiles, retired high school band director, had dreamed of this hike for years. They didn't know all the words, but with a little urging on my part, they all joined in at the first chorus. My gaze drifted out over Frodo and out there. There was movement on another cot. Wait a second. I know that girl. Didn't I meet her in a town 10 days ago? Blazer looked down, feeling embarrassed that she wanted to sing. It was a beautiful moment, and she wanted to be there, but it took more motivation than she had. The other hikers are so awesome, she thought. Some of them had been at hiker heaven 2 or 3 days. They acted like brothers and sisters. In the crowd, Blazer was so uncertain about how to fit in. She had heard others talk about the two of us scouting Frodo. Something about us reminded Blazer of the friends' home she would hang out in when she was growing up, the friends who had parents that she would pretend were her own. She saw Frodo singing and looked at me from close by. And something of the spirit of hiking 450 miles kicked in. I walked here just like everyone else. Blazer got up and met my gaze with a soft smile, different from the sassy smile I'd seen 10 days ago. I hope that Blazer saw the gratitude shine from my eyes as she sat in a hay bale next to out there and joined in with a strong alto voice. When she looked at me for a brief moment, I saw the eyes of my own children when I tucked them in the bed. That was 2007. In 2015, I came off the CDT for one off-trail event. We left one morning, we flew to Ketchikan, Alaska, and by 11 o'clock we walked off, and 2 days later, Frodo and I, imbued with the full power of the state of Alaska, married Blazer and her husband. Yeah. Next excerpt is toward the end of the trail. As I said, we had once-a-generation storms. We set out from Rainy Pass, 60 miles from Boulder, 3 different times. First time we got pushed back. First time we got pushed back 5 miles in. And I cannot tell you what it felt like to turn around and take a step south. Yeah. Second time we made it within 31 miles of Canada. It's the last place out, Harts Pass. Your only way out is an 18-mile dirt road. Driving snowstorm. And this is where this picks up. Blazer found herself back in the room at the Duck Brand Hotel in Winthrop, a place she had never wanted to be again. Her ratty bandana was in her hand, but she was so dehydrated she couldn't even summon tears. Taking a scalding hot shower, she reflected on what had just happened. I got within 31 miles of Canada, and now I'm done? Now I'm leaving? It feels like it was all for nothing. What am I going to say? I hiked all of it except the last 31 miles? Her flight out of Seattle was in 2 days. The air in the room felt like a funeral home. She'd had this goal in her head for 5 months, and now it was gone. Blazer felt she was mourning a death. Once more, she thought of herself and thought of Dalton, posing together by that final PCT sign. Why didn't I do it right then? In her room on the bed, Blazer started humming. It was a dirge. Oh, Canada. About 3 hours before, still dripping water from the pickup bed that we hitched in, the last miles in that dirt road, Dalton saw Frodo there at the Mazama County storage. She was rummaging through the green trail maps. He thought, what is she doing? He was incredulous. He saw her pick 3 to buy the cash register. That's completely nuts. Barely out in the snow and still reeling from our failed brush with Canada, he focused on a white mug of tea and its warmth in his hands. Since they'd taken showers, Dalton, Blazer, Figaro, and Sugar had been intensely talking in a room, the exact same room that these 4 had occupied 2 days ago, with one big difference. This time, their tents, clothes, and sleeping bags weren't hanging out to dry. No one was drying here. No one expected to head out again. Figaro's mom was going to backtrack from Canada, and she would drive from Manning Park to Winthrop, arrive the next day, and take a car full of hikers to Seattle and home. Figaro had been in such pain since he packed his tent that morning in the snow. The road walk on irregular gravel from Harts Pass was excruciating. He could barely hobble. One heel had shooting pains, with each step, while the other foot could hardly bear any weight at all. And Dalton, he wasn't injured, but he was spent. His motivation gone. I've shown I'm tough. I've done something huge. I crossed the Suiata River by myself. I broke trail for everyone for a full hour in the snow. Dalton felt Figaro's need for solidarity, and he told him, I'm going to hop on your ride. I'm heading home. Blazer listened to Figaro, and she couldn't have felt more defeated. Grasping at the thinnest of straws, she proposed to Dalton, why don't we just stay at the duck brand until the snow melts? It was a fairy tale. Dalton didn't respond. Instead, both of them listened to Figaro. What do I have to prove? I've made it this far. What difference does it make? If I push on a few more miles, what is Canada anyway? That's when Frodo and I entered the room. We spread the Dream Trail maps on a bed. Here's what we're going to do. There's no pressure. Just tell us if you want to come along. Frodo had been the one to look for those alternate route maps, but when I saw her, I knew exactly what she was thinking. We both remembered what my dad had said about a lower route. Dalton, Blazer, Figaro, and Sugar followed Frodo's fingers. She traced the low route on the map. We're going to start here, Frodo pointed, at Rainy Pass. 4 sets of eyeballs rolled back in their sockets. Back to Rainy Pass a third time. And from there, we're going to road walk 20 miles west. It's downhill. We'll drop from 4,000 to 1,600 feet. Then we'll reach Ross Lake. There's a trail along the lake. It's so low, there'll be no chance of snow. Then in 31 miles, we cross the border into Canada. Sugar didn't wrestle with obstacles or doubts. Count me in. Figaro was dead set on getting home. Dalton too. Blazer's eyes had briefly lit up, but neither Frodo nor I knew what to make of it. The two of us left and made our trip to another room, laying out the maps in front of Guts, Chuckwagon, Lotto, and Disco Dan. Yeah. Between Figaro, Dalton, and Blazer, the debate raged on. Blazer thought Figaro had made solid points, especially when he said emphatically, what do I have to prove? But then Figaro threw out, I'll just come back and do it again, it's no big deal. Figaro lived in Northern California, within driving distance of North Cascades. Wasn't true for Dalton. Wasn't true for Blazer. Blazer knew she'd never be back. Living on the East Coast, she may as well have been on the opposite side of the world. Blazer wrung her hands and pressed them tightly together. The faintest part of her still thought, even while listening to pros and cons, I'm finishing, no matter what it takes. Why are we having this discussion? She played homage to that trail-hardened woman who only days before had sworn, I'll crawl to Canada if I have to. Then she remembered the one impediment, money. There was no getting past that. She was flying out of Seattle in 2 days, changing her ticket. This lake would be horribly expensive, impossible. She heard Dalton announce that Frodo and I hadn't swayed him. He said, Blazer, I'm going home. Blazer called her brother Ian. Someone in the family should know what she's doing and where she was. After all, he was going to see her in 2 days. Her flight was from Seattle. Her flight was from Seattle to Washington, D.C. She'd stay with her brother. She'd sleep on his couch. She'd try and find work. Ian, she said, we ran into high snow. It was really bad. I'm coming home. This was not the call Ian had been expecting. He'd been certain Blazer would call him next from Manning Park. Ian knew she'd make it to Canada. His little sister didn't quit. The last time they talked, Ian heard that Blazer was surrounded by strong hikers. She was this close to the end. Snow wouldn't stop them. Ian had planned how he was going to celebrate her feat. She'd call him up, and then he'd tell her, Blazer, I'm upgrading your plane ticket. You are going to fly home first class. Ian didn't care how hard Blazer tried to accept. He was going to insist. You deserve it. Ian had to pry the story out of Blazer. Slowly she told him what had happened, how awful and scary it had been. She sounded so deflated and depressed. As she was talking, Ian moved to his computer. He pulled up her flight information on the screen. Blazer told her brother that a few of the others were going to go to Canada by an alternate route. It would take 3 more days. But Ian, my ticket's in 2 days. I can't change it. It'd be really good to see you again. Ian made the decision Blazer wouldn't make for herself. I've changed your ticket, he said. I built in a buffer too. You don't fly out of Seattle for 6 days. Then he added, and for the first time she heard emotion in his voice, you go for it. With Blazer still on the phone, essentially speechless, Ian thought he heard a hush thank you, and then he hung up. Ian knew. He knew exactly what finishing meant, Canada. That was the gift he gave his sister. Yeah. I got so involved, I forgot the images. This is the day before Frodo's birthday. This was the one moment that day it was safe to take out my point and shoot camera. We stopped for 20 minutes once a day. Anything we didn't have in our pockets, we weren't gonna have the rest of the day. She's hiking in trail runners. Yeah, there's something else. The day before that was this. Snow wasn't as deep. Chuck wagon guts. That's Blazer in the center. I don't know why she's smiling. Her jacket has a broken zipper. She's lost one glove, and she's always shoving a hand under her armpit or down her pants just to keep frostbite at bay. Yeah. This, very briefly, we've been talking about long hikes, going out to your neighborhood park, going like I did this morning with Dennis back there. We walked for an hour. That's all you really need to do. Walking is the most natural thing to do. What's the most celebrated event in probably each one of our lives here, and we don't remember it? She's walking. He's walking, right? Yeah. We don't walk. COVID hit. Frodo and I, our middle child, what number is that?
40.
40, okay, I'm doing okay. We potted with our daughter, who was 8 months pregnant, and our son-in-law. They had a 2-year-old. Daycare disappeared. And 3.5 months, I got to live with a pregnant woman again, which was actually just fun, and hold a newborn baby for the 2.5 months there. But every day at 11 o'clock, I take 2-year-old Corman out for a walk. We walk by shuttered houses beginning of COVID. Remember those days? And after a while, they'd see obviously a grandpa and his trio walking by. We took out chalk, we dropped messages to people. It didn't take long, this community formed around us. We'd switch one woman's garden gnomes a little bit, and she'd switch them back. A guy cut off to get flowers, and there was a bunch of flowers left. As a guy rehung a swing from a 20-foot tall oak. He was 70 years old. I saw him up in the tree. As well as, how can I call myself a grandfather if I don't show a picture of my grandson, right? Yeah. But I like that, isn't that cool? I want to do one more thing before we get into, do a few shout outs. We're gonna do some thank yous. We have about $1,000 worth of door prizes here. Yeah. The saddest t-shirt I saw in adult said this. It said, when was the last time you did something for the first time? And isn't that sad if there's so many people that's true? Yeah. We go out on the trail almost every day. We do something for the first time, right? We go in the outdoors. Tonight, we're gonna do something that I bet you for the vast majority it's the first time. Oh, does it feel a little cold in the room? Feel a little chill? Yeah. We are going to, hopefully this works, we're gonna create a thunder shower here in the room. And all you have to do are 4 simple things. Can you do this? All right. I can sit down the mic for a moment. That's very good. And now, next, do this. Next, this is the third one. Down the stroke here. You guys are group 1. And, okay,
Go ahead.
oh, I thought you. And from here to the people who aren't group 1. Group 2. Yeah. And what I'm going to do, I will point to you with the motion, your group, and you do it. And it'll go across. And oh yeah, I can feel the breeze from that side. I think it's coming from that direction. You ready to try this? Okay. So. First time, that was pretty darn good. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me. As I said, I was a summer camp director. I'm going to do some thank yous. Actually, shout outs first, too. One, 2013, fastest snow time for the 58 Colorado 14ers. Backpacking, continuous line between them. 72 days, 1,300 miles. Junaid Duad, right there.
Wow.
Wonderful local author, Gail Story. Boulder Bookstore carries I Promise Not to Suffer. Wonderful book. Wonderful book. Thank yous. I'm going to start with Continental Line Trail Coalition, sponsor of this event tonight. Really appreciate that. And it's not just because I was on the board for a number of years and as board chair. We have Kenny. Oh, where's Kenny?
Hey, back here.
Kenny here. A bunch of freebies. He says you can come up here and just take one of these. And their stickers and the maps. You'll make them happy. They feel worthwhile that you came down tonight. Please do that. They also donated a bunch of neat gear. I know people are already coveting the hat. It's a CDTC on it. And this baby here, 2 packs with a pair of socks in them, and a larger pack with the pack. So thank you very much, CDTC. We have the Trek. I think that Juliana Chauncey's here tonight. There we go. Thank you for not getting a chair. Backpacker Radio, the preeminent long distance trail, a podcast. You're not listening to it, you should. And, you know, they did feature me 3 times, but still, listen to the other episodes. They're all good, 200 of them. They sponsored tonight, really appreciate that. There's a $100 gift certificate to the Trek store. It's over here as part of door prizes. Thank you. Thanks, Zach, for me too. Great. Backpacker Magazine, Outside Plus. The editor-in-chief, hold up the higher. Adam Roy, the editor-in-chief's here tonight, and they've really jumped on. Really appreciate that. There was an article published this week about me, the event. Really appreciate that. There are 3 Outside Plus 1-year subscriptions here. I think it's $80, $90 value. Thank you, Adam. Good to see you here tonight. Last, Boulder Bookstore. You guys have a great independent bookstore in town. Sponsored, they're selling books. I think that Nikki here would like to go home with as few books as possible. She carried them in to see what you can do afterwards. Anyone who buys 2 books or more gets a free meal Backpackers Pantry, PCT map that's taller than me, and a decal. So don't hesitate for that. $19.95. It's a stocking stuffer. Come on. Okay. And Backpackers Pantry. Sponsor underwrote the event. We're here in this theater that they paid for it. Their marketing manager, Elsa, where's Elsa? She's been so good. She's been so good. If you heard about it, her especially is the reason why. Their CEO, Dwayne Primozic, is here. Oh, come on, Dan, raise your hand. There we go. Great. You have to look. This is a 40, 50 employee here in town. They don't. The employees are not seasonal. They work all year round. And I was in the plant the other day. A number of them are just multi-generational families, which is really cool. Their owner and chief menu planner, where's Soraya? Is she in here tonight? Right there. Yeah, lots of good people. Lots of good people. Yeah. Should we do door prizes? Yeah. So I think we have 13 different lots, ranging from 2 meal packs, $100 plus value, Bear Vault, Twix packs, the Trek, $100 gift certificate. 3 outside, 1-year. And you see the each have number? So how are we going to do this? We made it really simple. Look under your chair, there's a bar in the middle, and if you have taped a number, you're a winner! It's got a number on it. Oh, we have a winner? Stand up. If you're a winner, stand up. And what's your number? 2. And if you got a number, come up, and they'll give you your 4.
I don't think you're members of our chairs, unfortunately.
8 coming up.
At least I don't think so.
Oh, One more. Yes, you have to reach way under. Who are we missing? Who are we missing?
Did you look at it?
More coming down. Yes, some of us don't stretch that far, I think. Have a neighbor look under your chair. It's all good. How many left? 5. Anyone whose birthday's today?
No. There's a bar under there. Under the bar.
Help your neighbor look at the bar. It's my wife, she's a high school science teacher. It's way under there. At least one more?
What number do you have? What number?
Oh my gosh. Oh, good.
What number?
There's another numbers coming up? Yeah, we thought this would be real simple. I didn't think we'd be challenged at this one. Here we go. So, I'm winding up here. I wrote Journeys North, and I wanted 2 things. I wanted those of you who have been out on a long hike to pick it up and say, yeah, Scout, you got it. And I also wrote it for those who will never get out, never have. And to have a moment to feel what it's like to be out there. Be out there for months, to feel like this is where I live. And there are 2 ways I knew I'd done that. One, my mother, who when I'm in my 50s and 60s, I'm once again going out on a long hike, much to her chagrin. I felt like, at that age, my 50s and 60s, I feel like I'm an errant teenager defying my parents. Mom put down Journeys North. She called me on the phone. She said, Barney, I now finally understand why you do this. And a woman wrote on Amazon, yeah, and it really moved me. Yeah. Thank you from those of us whose responsibilities in life have kept us home. Through a lifetime that I've yearned to do the PCT, I cannot tell you just how much this book has meant to me and to others. From my peripheral closeness to the outdoors, I'm with you in spirit. Yeah. So if you want someone to understand what's out there, please do a copy. The proceeds for the tickets are all going to CDTC. Book sales here, I love that we're supporting a bookstore. 6 months from now, I'll get a little royalty check, that's true. For a night for ourselves here. It's been so nice talking with you tonight. You've been a great audience. Thank you very much. I'm going to sit here and sign books. I know Nikki wants to do some selling. And thank you. Come over and talk to. Yeah.